Let me ask you something serious right now. You watch the videos. You've read the books. You follow the gurus. You've written the goals down in that notebook that's probably sitting somewhere collecting dust. And yet, you're still in the same spot. Same bank account. Same excuses. Same life. So what's actually stopping you? Because I'm going to tell you something that most people in this space are too afraid to say out loud. It's not your circumstances. It's not the economy. It's not where you grew up. It's not your family, your skin color, your education, or your zip code. It's your mind. A weak mind will destroy every opportunity before you even recognize it. A weak mind will talk you out of your own dreams at 2 a.m. A weak mind will make you feel comfortable being broke, and then make you feel bitter watching someone else win. And here's the brutal truth. You cannot, I repeat, you cannot build real, lasting generational wealth with a weak mind. Period. Now, before you click off and say, this guy doesn't know my situation, stay with me, because this is an attack. This is a wake-up call. And the fact that you're still watching means some part of you already knows this is true. Let's start from the very beginning. What does a weak mind actually look like? Because it doesn't always show up the way you think. It's not just laziness. It's not just scrolling on your phone for 4 hours a day. A weak mind is more subtle than that. It shows up in the way you respond to failure. It shows up in the conversations you have with yourself when nobody's watching. It shows up in the habits you keep excusing, the risks you keep avoiding, and the version of yourself you keep promising to become tomorrow. Weak-minded people are obsessed with comfort. And I get it. Comfort feels safe. Comfort feels earned. After a long day of work, you deserve to relax, right? But here's the problem. Comfort is the enemy of growth. Every single time you choose comfort over discipline, you are making a deposit into your failure account. And those deposits add up fast. Think about the last time you had a real opportunity in front of you. Maybe it was a business idea. Maybe it was a chance to invest. Maybe it was a conversation you needed to have, a skill you needed to learn, a move you needed to make. And what happened? You hesitated. You overthought it. You found every reason why it wouldn't work instead of finding one reason why it could. That's not wisdom. That's fear wearing the mask of logic. Weak minds are ruled by fear. Fear of failure. Fear of judgment. Fear of standing out. Fear of being wrong. And fear is the single most expensive emotion a person can carry. It costs you more than any bad investment ever will. Because a bad investment loses you money, but fear loses you the entire future. Now I want to talk about something nobody talks about enough. The psychology of poverty. And when I say poverty, I don't just mean having no money. I mean a poverty mindset. A mindset that has been trained over years and years to think small, stay small, and be suspicious of anything big. This mindset tells you that rich people are lucky, that the system is rigged, that people like you don't make it, that wanting more is greedy, that playing it safe is smart. And here's the dangerous part. Some of those ideas were put into your head by people who loved you, parents, friends, teachers, people who genuinely care about you but were themselves operating from a place of limitation. They weren't trying to hold you back. They were trying to protect you from disappointment. But in doing so, they accidentally trained you to expect less. That programming is real, and it runs deep. And if you don't actively work to rewrite it, it will run your entire financial life without you even knowing it. Wealthy people think differently, not because they're smarter, not because they got lucky, but because somewhere along the line, either through environment, mentorship, or sheer determination, they developed a different relationship with money, with risk, with failure, and with themselves. They don't ask, what if this goes wrong? They ask, what if this goes right and I miss it? They don't wait until they feel ready. They know readiness is a myth. You get ready by doing, not by waiting. They don't shrink in the face of criticism. They use it as data. And most importantly, they do not let their emotions make their financial decisions. This is a big one. Write this down if you need to. Emotional decision-making is one of the fastest ways to stay broke. When you buy things to feel good, that's emotional spending. When you avoid investing because it makes you anxious, that's emotional paralysis. When you quit on a business because someone laughed at your idea, that's emotional surrender. The market doesn't care about your feelings. Opportunities don't wait for you to feel ready. And the clock, the most valuable asset you will ever have, does not pause while you work through your insecurities. This is why mental toughness isn't just a motivational buzzword. It is a financial strategy. The people who build wealth, real wealth, not just a good month or a lucky break, are the people who can sit in discomfort and keep moving. They can take a loss and not let it become their identity. They can be misunderstood, doubted, underfunded, and underestimated, and still show up the next day with the same energy. That's not talent. That's training. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about. How to train your mind to be strong enough to actually hold the wealth you're trying to build. Because here's the thing most people miss. Getting money is only half the battle. The other half is having a mind strong enough to keep it, grow it, and use it with intention. So if you're ready to stop playing small, if you're ready to have the honest conversation about what's really been holding you back, keep watching, because we're just getting started. Let's talk about the moment everything changes. It doesn't happen at a seminar. It doesn't happen when you buy a course. It doesn't happen when you finally get that paycheck you've been waiting for. The moment everything changes happens in your mind. Quietly, privately, when you make a decision that you're no longer willing to accept a version of yourself that keeps getting in your own way. But before that moment can happen, you have to understand something critical. Your brain was not designed to make you rich. It was designed to keep you alive. And there's a massive difference between those two things. The human brain is wired for survival, not success. It seeks familiarity because familiar equals safe. It avoids risk because risk has historically meant danger. It resists change because change for thousands of years meant uncertainty, and uncertainty meant potential death. Your brain doesn't know the difference between stepping off a cliff and stepping out of your comfort zone. To your nervous system, both feel the same. That's why growth feels uncomfortable. That's why every time you're on the edge of something big, something inside you pulls you back. That pull has a name. Psychologists call it the status quo bias. I call it the broke zone. The broke zone is not just a financial place. It's a mental place. It's the ceiling your mind has quietly installed without your permission. And every time you get close to breaking through, your own psychology kicks in and finds a way to bring you back down to what feels normal. You've seen this happen in real life. Someone wins a lottery, and within a few years they're broke again. An athlete signs a $100 million contract and files for bankruptcy before 40. A small business owner starts making real money and suddenly self-sabotages. Bad decisions, bad partnerships, bad habits creeping back in. This isn't coincidence. This is the broke zone doing its job. Their external reality changed with their internal reality. Their identity, their beliefs, their mental programming stayed exactly the same. And the mind will always find a way to make your outside world match your inside world. This is the concept of financial identity. And it might be the most important idea you ever encounter on your wealth-building journey. Your financial identity is the story you believe about yourself and money. It's the deep, subconscious answer questions like, do I deserve to be wealthy? Am I the kind of person who builds businesses? Am I smart enough to invest? Do people like me actually make it? Most people have never asked themselves those questions consciously, but their actions answer them every single day. The person who is always one emergency away from financial crisis, that's not just bad luck. That's someone whose financial identity says, I don't hold on to money. The person who makes more income but somehow always spends more. That's not a math problem. That's an identity problem. The person who starts 10 businesses and quits every single one before they get traction, that's not bad business ideas. That's a belief running in the background that says, I'm not someone who succeeds. Until you identify the story, you cannot change the outcome. So how do you find your story? You look at your patterns, not your intentions, your patterns, because your patterns are honest even when your intentions are not. Look at the last 3 to 5 years of your financial life. Where's the money gone? Where you started and stopped? What opportunities did you walk away from? And what did you tell yourself when you walked away? What is a recurring theme? That theme is your story. And your story is costing you a fortune. Now here's where it gets real. Changing your financial identity is not about affirmations. I know that's not what you want to hear in a world full of, I am wealthy sticky notes on bathroom mirrors. Repeating words you don't believe is not reprogramming. it's decoration. Real identity change happens through action, evidence, and repetition. Let me break that down. Action means you start doing the things that the version of you that you want to become would do before you feel ready, before you feel worthy, before you feel confident. Confidence is not a prerequisite for action. Confidence is a result of action. You don't wait to feel like a disciplined person to start being disciplined. You act disciplined, awkwardly, imperfectly, inconsistently at first, and eventually the feeling follows the behavior. Evidence means you start collecting proof that you are changing. Every time you save instead of spend, write it down. Every time you do the hard thing instead of the easy thing, acknowledge it. Every time you stay in the discomfort instead of running, register it. Your brain responds to evidence. You're literally building a new case file in your own mind, one that says, I am someone who follows through. And the more evidence you collect, the stronger that new identity becomes. Repetition means you understand that this is not a one-time event. You don't fix a weak mind in a weekend. You don't reprogram decades of conditioning with a single motivational video. This is daily work. This is a practice. Every morning you wake up, you're either reinforcing the old identity or building the new one. There is no neutral ground. And I want you to understand something. This work is not soft. This is not therapy talk for people who don't want to grind. This is the actual foundation of everything. Because you can learn every investment strategy, every business model, every tax hack in the world. But if your identity doesn't match the level you're trying to reach, none of it will stick. The strategy without the mindset is a house with no foundation. It looks good for a moment, then it collapses. You have to build from the inside out. That's not motivational filler. That is the architecture of real wealth. Your mind is the asset. Everything else, the money, the business, the investments, those are just expressions of that asset. So the question is not whether you have what it takes. The question is whether you are willing to do the internal work that most people are too proud, too impatient, or too distracted to do. Because the ones who do that work, they don't just make money. They become the kind of people who can never truly lose it. Let's talk about discipline. Not the kind you post about on social media. Not the 5 a.m. alarm clock you set with full intentions and snooze 4 times. Not the gym membership you buy in January and abandon by February. Real discipline. The kind that operates when you're tired, when you're frustrated, when nobody is watching, and there is zero reward for doing the right thing. Because here's what the internet won't tell you about building wealth. Motivation is a visitor. Discipline is a resident. Motivation shows up when things are exciting, when the idea is new and energy is high. But motivation leaves. It always leaves. And when it does, the only thing standing between you and giving up is discipline. And discipline, at its core, is a mental skill, not a physical one. People think discipline is about forcing yourself to do things. It's not. Discipline is about training your mind to make decisions based on your goals rather than your feelings. Every time you act on your goals instead of your emotions, you are practicing discipline. And like any skill, the more you practice, the stronger it gets. But here's where most people get it wrong. They try to build discipline in the big moments. They wait for some rock bottom, some dramatic turning point to finally get serious. Sometimes that works. But more often, real discipline is built in the small moments. The moments that feel completely insignificant. The moment you decide not to buy something you don't need. The moment you open the book instead of turning on Netflix. The moment you do 20 minutes of work on your business when you feel like doing zero. These moments feel small, almost pointless. But they are the bricks, and every single one is building either a wall that protects your future or a hole that swallows it. Now I want to connect this directly to money because this is a wealth conversation. Financial discipline is the ability to delay gratification. I know you've heard that before, but sit with what it means in practice. It means choosing your future self over your present self, consistently, over long periods of time. The car you don't buy today becomes the investment that buys freedom tomorrow. The vacation you put on a credit card is a loan taken from your future peace. Every financial decision is either serving the version of you that you're becoming or feeding the version you're trying to leave behind. The wealthy understand something the broke majority does not. Everything has a price, and it's not always in dollars. Sometimes the price is time. Sometimes it's focus. Sometimes it's the opportunities you miss because you already spent the money that could have chased them. Rich people count the full cost of a decision. Most people only count the sticker price. Two people earn the same income. Person A spends first and saves whatever is left, which is usually nothing. Person B pays themselves first, puts money aside before spending a dollar, and lives on what remains. In 5 years, their financial lives look completely different. The strategy is simple, but only Person B had the discipline to execute it. That gap between knowing and doing is where most people spend their entire lives. And that gap is a mindset problem, not a knowledge problem. This is why financial literacy alone does not create wealth. If information was enough, everyone who read an investing book would be rich. But between information and results, there is execution. Execution requires discipline, and discipline requires a strong mind. Now let's talk about the biggest discipline killer in modern life: instant gratification culture. We live in a world engineered to make you impatient. Every app, every platform, every advertisement is designed to give you something immediately. You can get food in 20 minutes, entertainment in 2 seconds, validation through likes in real time. Your entire environment trains your brain to expect instant results. Then you step into wealth building, where investments take years to compound, where businesses take months to become profitable. Your brain, wired for instant rewards, cannot handle it. It whispers, "This isn't working. Maybe it's not for you. Enjoy today. Start being responsible next month." That whisper is not wisdom. That whisper is addiction. You are addicted to immediacy. And breaking that addiction is one of the most powerful and transformative things you can do for your financial future. How do you break it? Practice delayed gratification in small ways every day. Wait before you buy. Sit with discomfort instead of immediately relieving it. Build your tolerance for patience the same way you build muscle, through resistance, repetition, and showing up even when it burns. The market rewards patience. Compounding rewards patience. Time in the market beats timing the market. The business that survives the first hard year dominates the next 10. The investor who holds through the downturn collects the recovery. Patience is not passive. Patience is an aggressive act of faith in your strategy. And strategy without patience is just gambling. Discipline and patience are not traits you are born with or without. They are skills. They are choices. They are muscles. If you have been undisciplined, if you have made short-term decisions that hurt your long-term future, that is not your destiny. That is your history. And history can be rewritten. One decision at a time. One single moment of discipline at a time. One conscious choice to think like the person you are becoming instead of reacting like the person you have been. The world will keep offering you shortcuts, easy buttons, schemes that promise everything and deliver nothing but a lighter wallet and a heavier regret. Every time you walk past those things without flinching, you are absolutely getting stronger. Every time you choose the harder right thing over the easier wrong thing, you are building the mind that wealth requires. And that strong mind, once built, cannot be taken from you. We have talked about the weak mind. We have talked about identity. We have talked about discipline. And now we arrive at the part that ties everything together. Because all that knowledge, all that inner work, means nothing if you don't know what to actually do with it. This is where we talk about building. Real wealth is not an accident. It is not luck. It is not a windfall that falls into the laps of special people. Real wealth is built, brick by brick, decision by decision, over time, by people who combine a strong mind with a clear strategy and refuse to stop when it got hard. So let's talk about what that actually looks like in practice. The first thing you need to understand is that wealth is not about income. It is about what you keep and what you grow. There are people in this world earning $10,000 a month who are completely broke. And there are people earning $2,000 a month who are quietly building something powerful. The difference is not the number on the paycheck. The difference is the system behind the behavior. Wealthy people think in terms of assets, not purchases, assets. An asset is anything that puts money into your pocket. A liability is anything that takes money out. Most people spend their entire lives accumulating liabilities and calling them success. The new car is a liability. The designer clothes are a liability. The house you bought too big for your income is a liability. And every dollar tied up in liability is a dollar that is not working for you. The shift happens when you start asking a different question before every financial decision. Instead of asking, can I afford this? Start asking, will this make me money or cost me money? That single question, applied consistently, will completely transform your financial life over time. The second thing you need to understand is that you cannot build wealth alone. And I don't mean that in a motivational, teamwork kind of way. I mean it structurally. The people you surround yourself with are shaping your financial ceiling, whether you realize it or not. If everyone in your circle is broke and comfortable with being broke, their habits, their conversations, their decisions will normalize that life for you. You will start to see financial struggle as just the way things are instead of a problem to be solved. Find people who are building. Find people who talk about investing, about business, about growth. You don't have to abandon your current relationships, but you do need to deliberately add new voices and new perspectives into your environment. Your network is your net worth is not just a clever phrase. It is a description of how opportunity actually works in the real world. The third thing is this. You have to start before you are ready. I know we touched on this before, but I want to drive this point home in the context of taking action, because this is where most people permanently stall. They are waiting for the perfect time, the perfect amount of savings, the perfect idea, the perfect market conditions. And while they wait, the people who are building are making mistakes, learning from those mistakes, and getting better. There is no perfect entry point. There is only the entry point you take. Every successful entrepreneur, every investor who built real wealth, started before they had everything figured out. They started messy. They started scared. They started with less than they wanted and more uncertainty than felt comfortable. But they started. And starting is the single most important thing you can do right now. You don't need $100,000 to begin investing. You need whatever you have and the discipline to be consistent. You don't need a perfect business plan to start a business. You need a real problem, a real solution, and the courage to put in front of real people. You don't need to have everything figured out. You need to begin figuring it out. The fourth thing, and this one is critical, protect your mind like you protect your money. Because in a world full of noise, distraction, negativity, and comparison, your mental clarity is your most valuable financial asset. The moment you start letting other people's opinions determine your decisions, you have handed over the wheel of your financial future to people who are not going to be there when the consequences arrive. Stop comparing your Chapter 1 to someone else's Chapter 20. Stop letting social media convince you that everyone else is winning while you're standing still. Most of what you see online is a highlight reel designed to trigger insecurity and drive spending. It is not reality. Chasing a lifestyle that isn't yours, with money you don't have, to impress people who don't care. That is the fastest route to financial destruction. Protect your focus. Protect your energy. Protect your belief in your own process. Because the journey to real wealth is long, and it is quiet, and most people around you will not understand it. They will question your discipline. They will call your sacrifices unnecessary. They will tell you to relax, enjoy life, stop being so serious about money. And some of those people will mean well, but they are operating from a different destination than you. You are building something that lasts, something that changes not just your life, but the lives of the people who come after you. Generational wealth is not built in a moment. It is built in thousands of ordinary moments where someone chose the long game over the short. This is your moment. Not tomorrow, not when things calm down, not when you feel ready or more confident or less afraid. Right now, the mind is the foundation. Everything else is built on top of it. Strengthen the foundation, and everything you build will last. Now go build.